Michael,
Hey, Ricky.
how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good. Good. I hope our folks at home and on their audio podcasts, listening devices, whatever they do, those people on the go, those mobile people, I hope they're doing okay too. I hope they're, you know, enjoying listening to our golden tones. So that's awesome.
Well, there's that. That would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah. I heard that you've been on a Zoom meeting all day watching some things. And,
Yes.
I that's kind of I Zoom, the whole thing that, I want to get into, all the pandemic stuff we had a while back. We got
Yeah,
Zoom
there's
meetings
that.
became a big deal,
Yeah.
everybody at home Zooming and everything. And so,
Yeah.
I like to try to, I thought I try to bring my humor, like I do here. I try to bring it.
Okay.
It's not already broadened, but sometimes I bring it. So I told I told this joke on a Zoom meeting, and
Oh,
I thought it was so funny, but no one laughed.
okay.
Apparently, it turns out I'm not remotely funny.
Oh. It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Not even remotely funny. Yeah.
Nice. That was good. That was a good one.
Well, good. I tried. I tried.
I like that one.
A lot of stuff going on. We got
a lot of stuff.
From you folks listening to our podcast, probably here in a week. Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to come out. So
actually, depending on, it's actually going to come out when this episode drops, I think.
Oh.
I think it comes out that day.
Oh, very good.
So.
Very good.
Cool.
Are
you excited?
I like to see that. I am. And more, I've seen the previews, the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting excited. I think be interesting what they, I saw something where they did I guess they did kind of like a junket, and they had Chris Pratt, and they asked him about, whether or not Star-Lord will, be available in the future. And he made a comment about, well, Star-Lord's going to be here, way before I'm around, I'm gone way after that. But he said, I'm open to anything. So I don't know what that means. So did he already give a spoiler that?
Well, it sounds like Star-Lord survives then.
That's what I'm guessing.
He's going to still be here after Chris Pratt's gone.
I mean, I don't know.
Up for something.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting comment.
I mean, he could die and they do a little Marvel something. But I saw that interview with him, and I thought that was interesting. I mean,
it is a multiverse after all. Now, Gamora is not the Gamora that we have grown to love.
No,
she's
apparently not. Yeah, she has to be. So,
so we could have the same Chris Pratt play a different Star-Lord.
Who knows? I mean, we've got a lot of DC folks coming over to Marvel and back and forth, seems like.
That is true.
So interesting how that's coming about. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I saw that, kind of came across that today, and I thought, cool. Interesting. But I know you have some news that you came across, some nerdy news. Anything in particular?
Just a couple of things. Nick Pizzolatto, he's the creator of HBO's True Detective series. I don't know if you were into that, but it was super popular.
Really good.
So apparently he is currently working on a rewrite of the upcoming vampire movie Blade. So he is going to be the new writer.
Yeah.
And we both know Mahershala Ali is going to be in
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they've actually worked with each other before, because Mahershala Ali was in True Detective. But the other thing is that Blade is supposed to start production this month, because it's May now. So sometime later this month, we should start seeing them in production, and maybe we'll start seeing some set photos. That would be kind of cool. Apparently, Pizzolatto is going to be using the original Starborough script kind of as a rough draft. So
Gotcha.
what was already written sounds like it's going to at least kind of happen, but it's going to get a rewrite. So that's new news to, so far.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is Super Mario Brothers once again takes the box office for a
I
third
saw
week.
that.
Third week, $40 million domestically. There were no real big movies this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But they crossed to the $1 billion mark in the worldwide box office. It's official. Super Mario Brothers, a video game based movie, has broken $1 billion.
It's amazing to me. It's amazing.
And the other thing I had is Star Wars related. Although have you heard the rumors that Pedro Pascal might be leaving the Mandalorian?
Yeah, I was hearing some of that in the
Reddit
verse.
Yeah, so apparently an insider has come out and said that's not true. But what is true, apparently, is he was supposed to reveal his face in the final episode. You remember we had that big discussion of, will Moff Gideon take his helmet off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then he won't be worthy anymore.
yeah.
Well, he didn't go into all the specifics for why his helmet was going to come off, but we were supposed to see his face in the final episode, but we didn't because of scheduling issues. Because as far as for Pascal's Pedro Pascal's contract, The Last of Us comes first. So that show where he shows his face all the time,
yeah,
and where he's also the father figure for a child that he's rescued.
Yes, exactly. Where have I heard that before?
I can't imagine.
That's odd.
So apparently written into his contract is that The Last of Us comes first for him. So the fact that he wasn't on set much and that we didn't see his face very much in season 3 is because of scheduling conflicts and not because he's trying to leave the show.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I mean,
yeah,
but it made me wonder if that was the case. I mean, I don't know, but the writing has to go along with his schedule. How do they know what his schedule was? Was there ever intentions of doing that? Blah.
This particular insider says that the original script had his helmet off.
Okay.
In at least one scene.
Gotcha.
Okay. And I personally am going to go with Moff Gideon was going to remove his helmet once he was captured. And then they cut it because he wasn't going to be available.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought that was a good place to have that happen.
If it was going to happen, that made sense.
Be that, yeah.
But he did. The insider did not go into the specifics. But he did say that it was all scheduling issues. Yeah. Had nothing to do with him leaving the show. He was on set for some of the shooting, but on the days he was there, that just wasn't the days he was supposed to have his helmet off.
Interesting, huh?
But anyway, that is the only other thing I have. We record this early,
Yes.
And we are recording this on Monday, and Thursday is Star Wars Day.
That's right.
So this will either release on Thursday or Friday this week. But the big thing that's looming in the air today, midnight tonight, is when the writer's contract ends.
Oh, yes, right.
And they have not come to an agreement yet.
Yeah, have not.
They have not. So we'll have to see what the news brings tomorrow morning. By the time you all are listening to this, we'll know what's going on.
Exactly. I had something that I don't want to touch on. And I thought it was gossip at first, but actually it was at a Q&A panel, and I've never heard of. It's a Supernova Comic-Con and Gaming Convention. Apparently, Temuera Morrison, who plays Boba Fett, let's just say he had his feelings about not being on Mandalorian season 3. Apparently, from my understanding, he was supposed to be on this last season. He says during a Q&A panel, the actor said, "I was supposed to be in Mandalorian season 3, but I'm sorry, but nobody gave me a ring," which sorry, this seemed funny to me. I was waiting for the phone call in New Zealand, waiting and wanting to give up. And yeah, he said the actor was cheekily added that Din or Mando has taken over his own show, saying, "Well, the Mando guy stole a few chapters in my book." He said it was painful watching him turn up with some black new lethal sword, and the way he turned up in my book of Boba, he just destroyed everybody. I'm sure this guy is ruining my show, but I couldn't say anything. I'm not a writer, so I have to bear it. I guess. And the actor also reflected on Boba's character's future in the franchise. He said, "I think there's a few changes going on," he continued. We also come under a big umbrella known as Disney. So it's one of the last few conversations we had in LA. The conversation started like, "Oh, look, we have a few changes." I don't know what we're having a few cutbacks and so. Anyway, I don't want to read the whole thing, but it sounds like to me, and I really like this actor, and
I do too.
And I don't blame him for the Book of Boba Fett. It wasn't. I totally believe that they should have kept the Mandalorian out of it.
Yes, I agree.
It should have just be self-contained to the Book of Boba Fett. And because when you bring in something like that, it'll take away. I mean, and just like he said, I agree with him now. But I hope. I like the actor so much. I hope they somehow keep him some way, because he is the clone. He's Captain Rex.
Yeah.
He is the clone, so I don't know. Hopefully Disney will figure it out, and hopefully, but I was also told, I also read that they did not appear due to cutbacks, and they were saying that's why they didn't put them on, now I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Well, Disney did lay off quite a few workers.
Yeah.
I've told you before, I have a friend that works at Disney in California, and he's a kind of a corporate video editor.
Yeah.
For Disney. He was let go this week.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yep. He did a Facebook reel, and I messaged him. It's like, "Are you serious? Did you really get laid off, or is this a joke?" He's like, "Nope, been laid off. My last day is sometime in June. It's his last day, so he's looking for video editing work out in LA." But a lot of people did get laid off, so them. Whether that's really the reason or not, I mean, it is legitimately something they did.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how,
he still has the book. He still has, because he's still doing the voice for the clones in Bad Batch.
Yes, he is.
So he still has a Star Wars contract,
Yeah,
and
he
he's
does.
still cashing checks. So
Yeah,
I don't feel
yeah.
super bad for
No,
him.
I don't either. I don't either. But honestly, I think I can understand, having somebody show up on your show, upping you. I mean, it
Oh,
really,
absolutely.
and and then not being allowed to be in the Mandalorian season 3, but
Hmm.
he didn't really belong in there. And
No,
he
he
didn't
didn't
belong in
fit
there.
well.
He didn't fit well. He didn't add anything to it. And the same goes with, I think what they kind of, and what they did in the Book of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian and the whole Luke
Hmm.
Skywalker and the training and all
Yeah,
that bit. I, I think it
Ahsoka.
could have, yeah, I think it could have been self-contained in something else. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that all could have been that could have been one extra episode of
Yeah,
The Mandalorian.
yeah, it could have.
I
It
mean,
could have.
we had adventures in The Mandalorian season 3. Now,
Yeah,
to be fair, The Mandalorian got cut out of a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian.
well, that's true too. I mean, he had a. That's true. I mean, we had a little Andor 1.2 or
Yes.
1.5. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so he's in good company on being put out in his own show.
there's a lot of that going on. Well, I don't have anything else. I thought that was
So
pretty
I'm just
interesting to throw in. Yeah.
expecting, Andor season 2, we're going to have like 2 or 3 episodes about some other character that I can't even imagine who would be right now.
Yeah, I have no clue. I have no clue. Well, I think before we get to the main topic of the show, let's go ahead and do some stupid news.
All right, let's do it. It's the weird and stupid news with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Man, let's see what other stupid things we have on my sheet today to talk about. Oh, here we go. This is kind of fits with our show, huh?
Okay.
A homeopathic doctor has devised a way to keep his car cool against the growing heat by plastering his car with cow dung.
Well, that is the kind of stuff that shows up on your sheet.
Well, yeah, that does. Well, I mean, he wouldn't. At least he's not going to complain about bird poop on his car. So
Well, there is that.
I mean,
There
you got
is
that going
that.
to him. Apparently, while explaining his approach to a news agency, the doctor said it often happens in the summer that the sheet on top of the car draws heat and increases temperature inside the car. By applying cow dung coating, the car inside temperature does not rise. The heat felt the heat felt while sitting inside the car in the summer is avoided with this. Now, there has to be some smell to this, wouldn't you think?
I would think so. Can you bring that car back up?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, that's
a pretty good poop job.
that is a fascinating thing.
I don't want to be the guy behind him when he's driving.
No. I've been behind a cattle truck.
Yes,
and that's not enjoyable.
That's not enjoyable, especially if you're in a motorcycle, little moped. Yeah.
What happens if it rains?
That's funny you said that. He said that's awesome. The doctor added that the AC works better and faster since the car remains cool because of the cow dung coating. He also claimed that the simple cow dung coating could last for around 2 months if it's not disturbed by water. So there you go. So if it doesn't rain for 2 months, you got done on your car, meaning you have cooler temperatures inside your car. So
spring in central Oklahoma, not the best idea.
Not a good idea. Nothing like
summer in Oklahoma may be okay.
Maybe you don't want muddy poo flying everywhere.
Yeah, that would be disgusting.
That's not good. So commenting on the video in which the doctor drives his car and explains the heat resistant properties of cow dung, an Instagram user wrote, honestly, he seems like a nice man with his heart in the right place, but I think his mind is affected by being around the fumes of the dung. That was one writer. But anyway, I mean, I guess I want to use the joke the poop hits the fan, but I don't really see how that works with this one. I'm trying to think of
It
a
just
metaphor.
hits the car. It just hits the car behind you.
That's right. That's right. Man, you need some good windshield wipers for that.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
just there's so many things that can go wrong with this.
I know it, man. That's crap. Anyway,
what happens when your car gets the runs?
Oh, that's when it rains. That's when it rains. That's when you get the runs. Oh, that's bad. Okay, folks. I'm sorry. My last one, and interesting. Around the world, they have a lot of different sports and different traditions. And in Japan, well, anyway, in Japan, they have what they call crying sumo.
Crying sumo?
Yes, crying
not
sumo.
sumo.
Oh, that's maybe that's what it is. Then let me retract that. They have in Japan, they have something called crying sumo.
Crying sumo.
Crying sumo.
That's right. What's the difference between regular sumo and crying sumo?
Well, in Japan, dozens of bawling Japanese babies face off in a traditional crying sumo ritual.
Baby got diaper. Sumo got diaper.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes. Where I go from there? Yes, certainly the pair of toddlers.
Picture says it all. If you're listening on audio, you need to just pause right here.
Pause.
Go hop on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Skip to this point.
Yes.
Just look at the picture, and then you can go back to listening again.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. So the pair of toddlers wearing ceremonial sumo aprons were held up by their parents and faced each other in the sumo ring at Senso Temple in Tokyo on Saturday. The children faced each other in a sumo ring. Sumo. Why do I call it sumo?
I don't know. Sumo.
Sumo. I'm thinking of the cow dung. I see moo. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, the pair of toddlers wearing ceremonial sumo aprons. Oh my goodness, were held up by their parents and faced each other in a sumo ring in Sensu Temple in Tokyo on Saturday. The children faced each other in the ring, and the first to cry declared the winner. So
Wait,
the first to cry declared the winner. Yes, isn't that odd?
That seems backwards to me somehow.
Now the staff wearing, they call it oni. It's a demon mask that tries to make the baby cry.
Okay.
So there's a guy who wears a mask that looks like a demon trying to scare the babies.
This is the most bizarre. This may be the second most bizarre sport I've ever heard of.
Yes. What's the first one? You think?
It's goat polo.
Goat polo.
Yes. Yeah. You ride a horse.
Yes.
And the goal is to get the dead goat and get it into the opposing barrel.
It's a dead goat.
It's a dead goat.
Man, folks, you got two stupid news for one. I mean, that is wow. That was a story I could have done.
It's like the national sport of something-istan. I can't remember which sport it is right now. Look up goat polo.
Oh my goodness!
I
Yeah.
promise it's
Very
a
nice,
thing.
very nice.
Very
Oh my
nice, very
goodness.
nice.
Very nice. That's all I'm going to say right now. Very nice. That's your stupid news. Very nice.
This has been the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. Have I never talked about goat polo before?
Oh no, that's going to be in the reel more than what I said. That's right. When I create the reel, that is going to be on there.
You
One thing I didn't.
You
Yeah.
should just look up goat polo.
That's insane.
There's videos and whole podcasts about goat polo.
I was going to say the whole idea they do this, they believe that a healthy cry will somehow bring great prosperity to their child. So whoever,
okay,
I mean that means I should be a billionaire right now, but that's okay.
I was gonna say, sometimes you just need a good cry.
You do.
It's okay. It's okay. If you're watching out or listening right now,
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Even men can cry. It's all right.
Men can cry. I have proven that over and over again.
Yep.
Just make sure you stay clear when you zip.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, folks,
bad batch. What we're talking about.
Oh, that's a good segue. Well, there's so much. So much to cover tonight. I was thinking, okay, well, we're just gonna. For number one, folks, if you haven't seen it by now, then it's been out.
The Bad Batch ended several weeks ago. I don't remember what date, but it's been out. It's been done for a few weeks.
Yeah, and so we were on the Mandalorian kick for a while. So since we ended up.
And this isn't necessarily an all Star Wars show, but
no,
this is May 4th is happening this week.
Yeah, so
Bad
much Star
Batch
Wars.
ended just a couple of weeks ago, so it just kind of fit. And you and I have been discussing it off and on,
we have
off air, and I it felt like the right time to discuss the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think so.
So for those who aren't super familiar with the Bad Batch, basic premise, and Mike, feel free to correct me here.
Okay.
The basic premise is that they are a set of clones that were all modified in some way to was it to specifically to enhance a particular feature. So like one is a great tracker, and one is highly intelligent, and one is super large and strong, and one was a super good marksman. So you've got this distinctly different people, but they're still clones. They're still based on Jango Fett. But they're all just a little different, and they don't look like the normal clones.
Yeah, they were introduced in the latter part of the Clone Wars animated series, and they were basically a special commando.
Special
forces, not really commando, but special forces.
And even their uniforms were marked differently than everybody else.
I mean, they were very... Yeah, they weren't in any particular uniform. They're kind of, individual, but as a squad. So there have been some, and I don't know whether it was on purpose, the mutations, or I think it's funny because in this series, we talk about mutations and experiments with clones later on in the show. I mean, there's just so much involved. But before we discuss season 2 of the Bad Batch, and if you haven't seen it yet, let's find our spoiler alert for those who have not seen it. So yes, there'll be spoilers. We're going to talk about the Bad Batch, and we're not going to explain the whole series. If you haven't seen it, then go watch
Yeah.
it, then come back. But we're going to discuss some stuff. Uh, we're going to point on some stuff that happens. Again, this is like what? How many episodes was this?
16
16.
episodes in this season.
Yeah.
So this
So
is one of the longer shows. It is animated, so it's a little bit
yes.
different than some of the others. But they're all like 20-ish minutes long, mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. For the most part. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. I'm kind of, it was a lot for me to go back and to review all of it. So I kind of wrote down some things that came to my
Okay.
mind, but a lot of it, what came to my mind was probably the last 3 episodes, mainly the 2, which is the Summit and Clone 99, those 2 episodes.
So make sure we might mention this for those of you who haven't watched it. A lot of this show is what we tend to call monster of the week.
Yes.
It's the situation of the week. They
Yeah.
they get some random mission from somebody and they go do it and they come back. That's pretty much the majority of every episode of this series.
Yeah.
But this season, we had a lot of one-off episodes that
Mhm.
didn't fit that. And we had this overarching storyline that was more significant, I think. I feel like it was more significant than the first season.
I do too. I really enjoyed this season. I felt like season 2, I was able to bond with the characters more.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, I think simply because I got to spend more time with them and I saw them go through a lot, more things this season.
When something was
when
something was serious this season, it was really serious. Like it had real consequences that were going to affect not just that person, but the entire team going forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Previous, it was like, oh, there's a situation. And 22 minutes later, it was solved.
Yeah.
But not so much this season.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to the last 2, and I'm going to mention again Summit, the Summit, which is episode 15 in Clone 99, which was the very last episode. Mm-hmm. I think there is where you start feeling a lot of the emotions, but there were a lot of that. And it seems like we got to look at, I think the main characters we got to look at was Tech, Omega, and then, and Crosshair.
Yeah.
I think those 3.
The Crosshair episodes were some of the best.
I believe it was the best. And to me, I think that was some of the highlights of the series. And we'll get into that here in a bit. I think one thing I love about the Bad Batch in this season fills in the gap what happened to the clones between Order 66 and the introduction of the Empire's use of the Stormtroopers.
Yes. And that's a big part of this storyline this season is the idea that there is a contingent in the Empire that doesn't. It's not just that they don't want clones anymore. That they are actively getting rid of the clones and they're actively recruiting what we would call stormtroopers now.
I agree. I think my personal opinion. I think Filoni has built this up that we will probably see. I'd be surprised if we don't see the clone rebellion in the next season, which is part of
absolutely.
Canon. I mean, you're already seeing some of that already happening where you had Echo and you have Rex, Captain Rex, and some of the other clones that are doing some things in the shadows, kind of in the shadows against the Empire. So, I think that will come up to head. Now, anybody who's read the books, that the rebellion, of course, of the clones didn't succeed. I don't know how, and of course, what we've seen with Rex and the rebellion in the show, the Rebels. Anyway, but before I get ahead of myself, but yes, I look forward to that. I think it'd be interesting to see some of these characters that we've seen, the clones that we've seen in the Clone Wars coming back and, fighting side by side. But, there was a lot of, I kind of like to, Crosshair, kind of like to talk about his character a little bit. We
Okay.
mentioned him, and Crosshair. I think for me, the standout this season has been Crosshair.
Yes.
The season, kind of pushed that over the top. I think Crosshair
Yes.
finally learns and experience what the Empire, really is, and he learned it the hard
Yes.
way.
So
Uh,
for all those out there who say the Empire did nothing wrong, watch Bad Batch season 2.
yes,
You'll see what the Empire is doing that is bad if you never saw it
exactly.
before.
Yeah, and you really see, and and Crosshair really, he starts to watch firsthand how the Empire disregards the clones and
Mm-hmm.
just and how they're disposable.
Yep.
There even one scene where uh, he lost a comrade,
Yeah.
and I think his name was Mayday, and it was on the episode called "The Outpost," and he died. And he kept asking for, I can't remember the officer's name. He kept asking the Empire officer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that for help, and he just kind of
Vice
smugly,
Admiral Rampart, right?
yes.
Was that him? Or was this a lower
I
one?
think this was the lower one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the outpost where they had snow. It was kind of
Oh,
Arctic.
yeah, that's right. Okay.
That one.
Yeah,
And so,
I can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
but Crosshair had enough and
Mhm.
killed his superior, shot
Yeah.
him, and
Yeah.
I think that right there is a turning point. I think
Mm-hmm.
I think he hits. I think he's finally the main thing is that good soldiers follow orders, and I think at this
Yes.
point Crosshair is realizing, okay, there must be an exception here. I
Mm-hmm.
you know he's starting. I think he's starting to see things that he wouldn't admit to before, and so and understanding he didn't have a chip. So it's
Right.
not as if he was following Empire because he was forced to. It was at his own will, and
Yep.
so here we go. So I really do. There's kind of and we talked about this earlier. I felt like there is a redemption story arc for Crosshair. Now, whether
Mm-hmm.
it comes to full flourish or not, I
Yeah.
don't know.
We have wanted one since it was apparent that he was
Yeah.
not loyal to the rest of the team.
And we're just going to jump all over the place because I like to talk about the characters, and so
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening, if you've seen the show, again, like I said before, you'll understand why we're jumping all over the place. So those of you who haven't seen it, this is not a follow along step by step. This is what happened next.
Yeah.
So just bear with us on that. But I think the biggest thing, it was getting close to the end where Crosshair sent out a transmission
Yes.
to Bad Batch, letting
Yes.
them know that, hey, the Empire is on you and they're coming after you. And when they received that message, they're going, okay, this must be a trick. And
Yeah.
and they said, well, he's a brother of ours. We've,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still convinced that they need to rescue him at that time. But I could see where they would think it would be a trap, but
Yeah. Well, because
but
it has been in the past.
has been in the past. So anyway, what's your? I mean, when you think of Crosshair and what he's experienced and what you've seen in this episode, what comes to mind? And what's your thoughts about what may happen in the next season 3 with him?
Well, I've always hoped there would be a redemption arc for him of some
Mm-hmm.
sort. um, I I feel like, well, knowing there's something else I'm sure we'll talk about before the end of this,
Yes, go ahead.
and knowing that, I think most likely we've kind of now seen the redemption
Yeah,
side, but my guess is we will see a self-sacrificial event where Crosshair does something. I don't know what it will be, but he will sacrifice himself for the rest of Clone Force 99.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I feel like that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
You know, we've built up this huge animosity over season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2, we see him become disillusioned,
Yeah.
and at the last moment send out a distress call to warn them,
Yeah.
not to save himself.
Exactly.
You know, and that's kind of the big deal there. That message was not come rescue me, was not
No.
I'm in trouble. It was, you guys need to pay attention
Yeah.
because bad things are coming your way.
Your way. Yeah.
I think he has probably already given up, but my hope is that he gets one more shot.
Yeah, and of course, we talk about, if we're talking about Crosshair getting close to the end, we know he's captured because he takes out, this Imperial officer,
Yeah.
Just in anger. And kind of reminds me of in The Mandalorian, can't remember the guy's name. He went into him and I guess when Din had his helmet off,
Oh yeah.
he shot his commanding
Yeah.
officer that he served. Not yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
that different reference, but anyhow, and so he had the opportunity. Not only that, he saw where it was the revelation that Crosshair had when he went to this facility, and it's some facility. I think it's
where all the clones apparently
are going to. And so, and all these clones are going to here and they're going to be experimented. It's not as if these clones are allowed to, live the rest of their lives as veterans of the war, veterans.
Which that is a storyline in this season that we probably won't dive too far into. But it's a significant part of the political issue that's going on right now in the series. Is that there are senators who are vying or trying to get relief for these soldiers so that they can not just be decommissioned as machines, but to be retired as people.
Exactly.
And that is a big theme this season is, are the clones property or are they people? This is definitely, I mean, there's definitely some slavery symbolism floating around in there.
Mentioning that, and we kind of go back into, and I don't know whether it's the summit. I think it's in the summit where Tarkin has a fortress, and we remember. And I can't remember the fortress. Let's see here. It's Mount Tentus. Mount Tentus is a fortress. It's where Tarkin's fortress is at. This is where he's having a summit with some of his high officers, and this is where also if we have a scientist. The scientist's name is Dr. Let's see here, Dr. Hemlock. And Dr. Hemlock is Dr. Hemlock.
Not an ominous name at all.
Not an ominous name at all. So Dr. Hemlock is behind this cloning project.
Yes.
And whatever it is. So now I love the scene, and Tarkin is not a fan of the clones. He was not a fan of them back in the Clone Wars. He finds them, especially now, he finds them unpredictable. They adopted this kind of this level individual, I can't say that, individuality.
Yes.
And as they were under the Jedi leadership. And so they started forming that. And so, and this is where I think we're going to have a clone uprising likely to happen later on. But there's a lot of where Tarkin is, having this meeting. And what I thought was really cool in this meeting, we see Garrick from Rogue One.
Yeah.
And so in this, of course, Hemlock is walking in, and you can see Tarkin's turns to the director of the project of Stardust.
Yeah.
Well, Stardust is, which is reference to the code for the Death Star.
Yes.
And I thought about that, and they also had some Rogue One music that was in it too.
Oh,
When
I
you
missed
saw,
that.
yeah, and so it was a really nice
Mm,
tie-in. It's just really subtle,
mm,
but it was there.
yeah.
And so, there was so much that was so cool to me to see that. And so, if that's the case, if you've seen Rogue One, Galen Urso, who is
Hmm.
actually the scientist that the Empire forces to build the Death Star. And if you haven't
Hmm.
seen Rogue One, well, watch it because it's really awesome. Really awesome. So I thought it was a really good tie in there. I thought it was really cool to see him in an animated form. And so I thought it was really cool. So, but
Don't we see somebody else this season?
we
Um,
see Saul
Saw
Guerreras.
Gerrera. Yeah.
Yeah, Saul
Saw
Guerrera.
Gerrera, who is also from Rogue One, shows up
Yes,
this season.
shows up also. And he's also been portrayed in later on. I think he showed up. No, you're right. Rogue
Just
One.
show up in Rebels.
And I think he shows up in Rebels.
Okay.
Yes, he shows up in Rebels. He's, and of course, Guerreros is kind of one of those people who, the problem is that you have all these pockets, rebellion pockets, and sometimes they all have a common goal, but they kind of get in each other's ways.
Yeah.
And some has different amoral issues when it comes to how do we go about this, what is the, the ends, the means does the means, the end of the means is what they do, all that stuff. So,
and it's fascinating to me. I mean, we know this is in between movies.
yes.
But I'm impressed with the way they keep pointing to them.
Yes.
Much like The Mandalorian is obviously pointing toward the sequel trilogy.
Yes, exactly.
They keep dropping hints in this to point to Rogue One or to A New Hope.
But they don't do. But it's not in your face either. It's really it's written very well. It's
in passing. It's
yeah.
I mean, you call it fan service if you want, but it's not it's not so in your face like you said.
No.
It's just this is a good character that makes sense to be here right now.
Yeah.
And it will remind everybody that Rogue One is a thing.
Yes. Which is an awesome movie, by the way. It's one of my favorites, which, it
really is a good movie.
It really is a good movie. So Hemlock, he's selling this whole cloning thing to Tarkin. And again, Tarkin he's concerned about the money. He's concerned about the time, the project.
Yeah.
But as we find out more, it's almost as if Hemlock has this secret dialogue. It's with the Emperor. It's almost like he makes it very clear that this is a priority for the Emperor. And it's almost like, because, you think Tarkin is he's the main man, but apparently this project is so important to the Emperor, which we know later on why.
Well, yes.
But so of course.
Now the Bad Batch is even pointing to the sequel trilogy.
Exactly. So there you go. There you go. Again, without it being that obvious. Like I said, the subtle writing in this is really good. So, and where The Mandalorian, I enjoyed it, but man, it was right in your face. You knew, you knew what was going on. There was no subtleties at all there. So, but so Tarkin has to kind of appease the situation. I know he's not a big fan of it. He doesn't like the money that's involved in it. He doesn't like the time and the resources, how long it's taking, but he understands that this is something that the Emperor wants. Yep. And I don't even think
pet project.
And of course, I don't think anyone knows except for the Emperor the reason behind all of this, because
I would agree.
I totally agree with that. I think
which all points back to the scene where before he's the Emperor,
yes,
where Palpatine is telling Anakin that, there's do you know the story of Darth Plagueis? You know,
Yes.
there's a power that can save lives,
Hmm.
but you can't learn that from the Jedi. So all of
No.
this points back to that moment.
Yeah, it
That
does.
that is why this is all happening.
Yeah. Well, I think the was the elephant in the room is tech. I think,
Yeah,
and if you've
yeah,
seen it, of course, the episode is let's go ahead and talk about it, and
yeah,
you know basically it comes right down to it. The situation, which I blame Saul Guerrero.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm blaming him for the
We
whole thing on this deal.
we have two groups of quote unquote rebels attacking the same base
Yes.
for distinctly different reasons
Reasons. Yes.
with distinctly different outcome needs,
Yes.
and they come clashing into each other.
Oh
So
yeah.
that was a moment I was not expecting.
I wasn't either.
And they
I
kept
wasn't either.
mentioning it. They kept hinting. He's like, this camera's not working. That's odd. And then they go somewhere else, and it's like, the grid is down in this area. That doesn't make sense. Why would that be an issue? And then we finally find out it's because someone else is there, and it's Saul Guerrero's crew. But yeah, that whole thing, that collision was surprising to say the least.
I thought it was interesting in that scene where they were trying to escape the fortress, and before they
Hmm.
get on those carts,
Yeah.
the rail carts,
Hmm.
they run into Saul Guerrero's.
Yeah.
And in all this, there's the firefight with the clones and the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed in this is that if you look at the episodes when they are fighting against other clones, they use
Mhm.
stun. When they're
Yes.
fighting against the stormtroopers, the stun is off.
I hadn't noticed that,
The stun
but
is off.
I had noticed specifically that they quite often used stun setting on clones. But it
Yes.
hadn't dawned on me that they did actively switch back and forth. But you're right.
Yeah. I read somewhere where they pointed that out, and I said, "What?" And I watched it, and I thought, "Oh my goodness, yes." Well, I mean, there you go. The
That
disdain
makes
for
sense. They see them as their brothers.
yes, they do, and
Regardless of which side they're on, they
yeah,
see them as brothers in arms, and it makes perfect sense.
yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, you have situations where again with Crosshair, he sees people like Cody. Cody was an
Hmm.
episode, Commander Cody,
Hmm.
and he went AWOL. He
Yeah.
saw the treatment, he saw the way that the Empire was treating people, and he says,
Hmm.
"That's not what I came to serve. That's not
Yeah.
you know." And so here goes Cody going AWOL, which is interesting because um, I can't remember if Commander Cody he was under. I'm trying to think, Commander Cody was under Obi-Wan, if I'm
Okay.
not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I think you're right.
And so, and I don't know how he. And I know he reacted to, I think, in the Clone Wars, and actually in Revenge of the Sith, Cody may have been the one that got the transmission. I don't remember. I
Mm.
need to look that up. But it would be interesting to see. And the reason I say that, I'm trying to see if he actually killed Jedis or not. But he did
Mm.
have the chip at the time. But even
True.
now, you have these clones who had the chip to kill the Jedis. Even with the chip, I think they're starting to have some revelations about, how devious this whole thing is, how dark this entire situation is with the Empire. And
Mhm.
it'd be really interesting to see when there would be a rebellion of the clones, seeing someone like Cody and Rex fighting together.
Mhm.
I never hear anything about Cody later on, so I wonder if Cody ends up giving his life. But he is well known for many Star Wars fans as one of the major clones in there. Commander Cody, Captain Rex,
Mhm.
Commander Bly, on and on. So anyway, I think it's interesting that because up to this point, we have clones that we know by name that we don't know what happened. We have no idea what happened to them. And so here we are, the Bad Batch is giving us that. And that's what I really like about the Bad Batch is that it's answering questions that I have been wondering for a long time. I mean, they were in legend books, they had been books about it, but they all became legend, they were reprinted. So anyhow, but yeah, so I'm really fascinated how this will turn out in season 3.
Now, when you mentioned Tech,
yes.
So I just have one thing to say about Tech.
Yeah.
He fell.
Yeah.
And we all know falling is not always fatal in the Star Wars universe.
Now let's do this straight off. We're talking about the great sacrifice that Tech made. Now, there's 2 theories. I have 2 theories here, and I know where you're getting at. Okay. All right. So we all know that Tech died. We know how Tech died. We've all seen it. Okay. I'm just going to get past that point. Okay. Theory 1.
We think he died.
Okay. Theory 1. The backpack he was wearing looked like if it had a rocket on the sides, reminiscent of like the Mandalorians. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
They had that.
Okay.
And Tech could have lost his goggles, which we know later on, they found Hemlock, okay. So theory 2. Okay. I'm here's my Marvel version of what happened. They pull off a Winter Soldier type move here.
Okay.
They see him fall off the train, has a freak accident, he's recovered by the enemy team. So he's
sent back as an infiltrator.
I don't know. Those are 2 guesses.
Interesting. I feel like we will see Tech again.
I do agree. I agree.
I death is so not final in Star Wars.
No, it's not.
So often.
I mean, my goodness.
I feel like we will see him again.
Yeah.
I do.
When you have Han Solo show up at the Rise of Skywalker, okay, you know something, that's Star Wars for you, okay? So
yeah, I do kind of hope that Tech gets to come back.
I do too. Even though he has no ideas when ladies are hitting on him, but
yeah. Okay, so that was pretty much, you knew when that happened.
Yeah.
That was like, oh, he's not going to make it.
No, he's not going to make it. There was a little bit of a love interest there. He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't have that.
So to lighten the mood just a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the deal in this season where they just all of a sudden left Sid?
Yeah, I know. And
it was so sudden and bizarre and unexplained. And then when they do come run into her, she just straight up turns them in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so weird.
Yeah, it was, they brought Omega back because, she was injured from the whole rail cart situation. So they bring her back to the bar. And Sid basically she said something to Wrecker. She said, "You guys are too hot. You guys something." I know she's upset for that they broke off with her. Yeah. There was even a season where she said something, I guess there was when they decided to break off, she made some kind of comment about, I can't remember. Did she make the comment or did Wrecker make the comment? Someone made the comment, you don't ever portray. You
don't mess with Sid.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it. I think it was a third party actually.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, that was. But when we did finally see her, it did kind of feel more like a Lando Calrissian kind of deal.
kind of a move.
They
Yeah.
showed up before you did. I
Yeah.
didn't have any choice here.
Yeah.
Because she says you're too hot a commodity,
Yeah.
or something to that extent. So I feel like she wasn't overly mad.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't going to go hunt them down.
No.
And I don't know that she would have even turned them in if they had just shown up. But it felt much more like a Lando Calrissian.
It did.
They got here before you landed. I had no choice. If I didn't do what they said, I would, they would destroy everything I have.
Yeah. Well, I could see some remorse from Sid as she took the credits. There was you could see that a little bit of the remorse, but yeah, I think she's Dunsey. I don't know. I don't know if they.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Sid again.
I don't think we'll see Sid again. No.
Honestly, I was surprised we saw Sid.
I did too. I did too.
I thought we were just done. I thought they had just written her off. I'm like, what happened? Did they get into a fight with Disney or something?
I don't know.
Just wrote her out of the script for like 3 or 4 episodes all of a sudden.
Just all suddenly. The one thing that stands out to me is the character development of Omega.
Yes.
It's very different than a Padawan where, Ahsoka, she was young.
Yeah.
But Omega is a child, and you see the playfulness of her when she was on the island of Pabu. And of course that's the island where, I think Hunter, and I think even at the very end, I think Hunter wanted to go back and start a new life with her, to get away from being soldiers. I think he even said Hunter tells her that it's time to stop being soldiers and to live a new life on Pabu. And of course, and, to live an ordinary life. And about that time is when everything hits the fan. The dung hit the fan.
You knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, you knew it was going to happen. I mean, that's you can't make money out of that deal.
I was going to say this is definitely the kind of show that goes, no, you're not allowed to have a happy ending.
No.
That's just the kind of show this is.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how they're going to end it because we know a lot of these characters. We didn't see them in Rebels, and we haven't seen them. Now, I say that, but you think about it. I mean, the way Filoni weaves these characters from the Clone Wars that we have never seen in the prequels, no telling what he can do, so because we didn't see Ahsoka anywhere. We didn't see Ahsoka in New Hope or Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. We didn't see him
get a live action Omega in the movie.
Exactly.
Could totally happen.
I mean, with Filoni, anything can happen.
So speaking of Omega, should we talk about the last big reveal?
Dun dun dun! Yeah,
she has a sister.
Which really,
but you know what? The minute she came on screen, I knew it because it's the same voice actor.
Voice.
It's like she didn't even try hard. I'm like, it's the same voice actor. She's her sister.
Omega, I'm your sister. We're gonna like what is that? I mean,
I get it. It was a nice attempt, but there were technical issues. Like if you read that in a book, you might not have caught it.
Yeah.
But watching the show, it was like so obvious.
Yes, I know. I know.
I don't quite understand what they're going to do with her. and Omega's doesn't seem to have, you think that if she knew that, we'd have heard it already. So it doesn't sound like she knew who she was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where that part's going.
I think for me is, a question I have is, okay, do they get Omega because they they want to experiment on her, or did they do it as leverage to have Nalia, who is the Kamino, Nala Se,
that's what they said. They very clearly said, that, you're, they basically told Nala Se that, we got you her, so now do your thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
that's pretty. Now, are there other ulterior motives? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe she worked close enough with Nala Se that she has information that Nala Se would need. So maybe she's necessary, but yeah, I don't know. It did seem more like a we did this for you, now you do something for us kind of thing.
It's leverage. I think it's kind of more of leverage. We have her, and if you want her to be safe, you do your work.
Yeah,
you do what we ask you to do.
I feel like it is. There's so many things in this show that are very on the nose.
Yeah,
I feel like this is one
thing. Okay,
I don't think there's a third thing. I don't think there's some other hidden agenda, that we're gonna experiment on. Now, I'm not saying they won't experiment on her or that they won't do something, but I don't know that is a necessity. I don't think so. I don't feel like this is we must get Grogu because we need the midichlorians.
Yeah, I think this is different now. Yeah.
I think this is purely a leverage move to get Nala Se to do what they need her to do.
Yeah, I think so too. And Omega assisted her with some of the projects that she was doing.
Yeah.
So she would have some special knowledge, probably. Some special knowledge. Now she wouldn't, I'm sure she wouldn't do anything to help with the experiments of the drones, of the clones, which now Crosshair is given some kind of, I don't know, they gave him a shot of something. Yeah. And do you think now I don't know whether they are going to, retrain his mind, they're going to do a little purging thing on him, or are they going to, try to, how is this going to affect him later on? Are they going to redoctrinate him somehow,
Yeah. I don't know what the goal there is. I don't have a clear picture of the goal, but I feel like where we're going with Crosshair is no matter what, something will happen and he will appear to be on the side of the Empire.
Yeah. But
in the last moment, it will be apparent that either he never was, since this, or that he suddenly was released from whatever control there was. I feel like that's where that's going to end up, but I'm not clear on what the purpose is right now, because it's not like they have Omega now.
Yeah.
They only had Crosshair.
Yeah.
With the idea that Crosshair could lead them to Omega.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, now that they have Omega, why do they still need Crosshair?
Exactly.
But they're not going to dump him because they're not letting apparently any of the clones go.
No, apparently not. I wanted to touch on one thing, and it goes back to Tech's so-called death, his sacrifice.
Yes.
There was a point in here where Tech says, he has, Tech says the connection must be cut because, it was pulling down, the rails.
Right.
And Wrecker and Omega says no, and Tech says it's time for Plan 99.
Yes.
That was now Plan 99 is reference to Clone 99 from the Clone War animated series.
Okay.
Clone 99 was a so-called the defective clone. He was kind of the janitor, of the kind of the barracks on Kamino for young, commandos, you know, like basically
Yeah.
Clone 99 died in the Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 1, while defending clone cadets from the attack when Separatist commando droids attacked Kamino. And so, and also he, you know, transmitted a distress signal. And anyway, so many of the clones revered that and that sacrifice that he made. And so that's kind of the reference of clone, you know, Plan 99 is kind of a, you know, kind of a nod to him. So I didn't know how many people knew that, but I thought that was fascinating that, and I forgot about that character from the Clone Wars. So there you go. Clone 99.
And that's a great callback as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the point. Let's talk about what we think are going to happen in season 3. We think
we know there is going to be a season 3.
Season 3. You think that's going to be the last season? I think they said it might be.
I think so. I mean, yeah, I feel like one more season will be good.
Yeah.
I feel like if they go much further, it's going to be dragging this story out too far.
Yeah. Especially if they do another 16 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, 16 episodes is a lot.
Yeah.
And for what we're doing. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You know, what we're looking at. Because Andor is the only live action that's done that many episodes.
Yeah.
On any of the Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of even the animated stuff isn't hitting 16 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of story to tell. I feel like if they don't, I'm not sure where we'll go.
Yeah.
I feel like it will just be prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah. I think we'll have I agree.
It would be nice to see a happy ending for Omega and Hunter.
Yeah.
to basically live out their life as father and daughter on, you know, some remote island planet, you know.
Yeah,
I think that would be a nice wrap up. I feel like we'll probably get that. I do feel like we're going to see Crosshair do some heroic last minute death situation.
I think so.
My guess is that Omega's sister won't last long.
No.
Or if she does, I don't think we'll be seeing her be saved.
No, I think her sister may, you know, I think she may be having some of the same issues as Crosshair, the moral, you know, looking at the moral issues with what she's doing to the clones, and she is a clone, but now she sees her sister.
You think she will?
I don't know. I think either that or Nayla is one of the two. No, I think Nala Say. I figure one of those somehow will. I have a feeling like maybe one of them will somehow help her escape. But
I definitely could see Nala Say do that.
But we don't know enough about her sister, so I'm not for sure what's...
Yeah, I feel like the sister... If the sister isn't full out evil, for lack of a better term, I don't know that she has a good story arc.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. She needs to be the antithesis of Omega. She doesn't need to eventually become Omega.
No.
I don't feel like that's
that's not
a good direction for a character.
No. But anything can happen, like I said.
That is true. Anything
can happen.
What do you think we're going to see next season?
I think we might see a clone rebellion. We may see more what's going on behind the scenes with Rex and Cody, and we'll see and they may, you know, enlist the Clone 99, you know, with the uprising. We of course all know how that ends. My hope is that we see, just like you, Hunter and Omega somehow live the rest of their lives away from all the mess. What that means for Wrecker and for Echo, I don't know. I still think we might have Tech come back. I don't know. Tech may, get with the Mama Jamma and they live on an island by themselves. I don't know. I like to see, I would like to see some happy endings here. I know that this period of time with the Empire, there's not a whole lot of happy endings here.
Okay, I got your happy ending for you.
Okay.
Got your happy ending.
Go ahead.
Echo, Tech comes back. Okay. Echo, Tech, Wrecker, and Hunter and Omega. They all go and they find this great place to live peacefully. And it's a lovely planet called Alderaan.
Great real estate. The stars are really pretty at night. Especially that one big one.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I getting close to the end, I saw where you were going with that. So, but anyway,
did I telegraph that a little too much?
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. So anyway, yeah. So we'll see. And those who have any thoughts and comments, please put them in there. We're on speakingnerdy.com where you can get all our videos as well as our audio. We are on Spotify, Apple, the whole bit. Yeah, find us anywhere.
All of your podcast players.
We're on.
Find us on all your podcast players and download all of our episodes.
All of them.
All of them. Just listen to all of them multiple times. We would appreciate it.
It would be awesome. That's right. And we're also on YouTube /Speaking Nerdy. And again, if that's all complicated, just go to speakingnerdy.com and there you can go to our YouTube channel and you can pick whatever nice audio, medium you want to listen to. So, so I'm glad we had a chance to cover the Bad Batch. I know there's a ton of more information, but I think this is all I can really muster, so
me too.
We have, I think when we release, hopefully we can say, may the 4th be with you. So
may the 4th be with you. That is my goal for this week.
That's our goal.
I have a crazy week going, but my goal is that it comes out on the 4th.
May the 4th be with you. And no telling what we're going to do next episode. No telling with us. We're just, woo, So you just never know with us. So thank you for listening and joining us. And if you're somewhere where you can like us or thumbs up and say, you guys are awesome, or, just find us a sponsor. Hey, we'll chill anything. We'll chill anything. So don't worry about it. Yes. So anything you have to offer to these folks, offer to me, offer to the world, offer to what we're talking about. I don't know.
I think I'm good.
Okay. On that note, let's say goodbye.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Oh, man. Do you ever want a clone of yourself?
If he will do dishes and laundry, yes.
Mine would just lay in bed, and I don't think that would work out because my bed's not big for both of us like that. So people might talk.